Earlier today, and you know how this goes, so this is nothing unusual. I posted something and it was a 51-second video, and then I said, tell me what you see here. When coaches are interacting on social media, what do they often do? Maybe they don't even look at they don't read the whole post before forming their opinion, or maybe they don't watch the whole video maybe once or twice to see what's really happening there. But they get an opinion and then they go boom and they put their opinion out there. What's it going to take for coaches to start to realize the value of actually stopping to think?
Well, they're going to have to put their opinions, like their notions and their preconceived opinions aside first. Like, that's the first thing they're going to have to do, is they're going to have to open up and observe. That's the first thing they're going to have to do, is they're going to have to observe what's happening in front of them first, and be open to what's happening, then analyze it. And so many times it's they want to get to the answer before anyone else and speak first. And they want to be the first one to say something, and they want to be right first.
Yeah.
Because if they're the first one to say something, then they're the smartest one in the room.
And it was really interesting too, because people made their observations about something that they didn't understand, or they made criticisms of one aspect. I was tossing the ball into the player at a 45-degree angle. I'm pretty close to the net post, and the player is at the tee, and I'm tossing the ball in 45 degrees. Not one person said that's okay. So if I'm tossing at 45 degrees, what's the first thing you think, Mike? If you saw a coach tossing the ball in at 45 degrees, because it's not something that happens all the time. Either you see like a little drop feed, or you see a little pooper from 90 degrees in front of the person, or you see a feed off the racket or whatever, right? So what's first thought that crosses your mind?
Well, I would try to first understand what the overall aspect of the drill was, what you're trying to accomplish with the drill.
See, there you go. And I appreciate that about you, Mike. That right there, I think this is a really important teaching point for how to learn how to coach better. I think that's really, really a smart answer. And it is the right answer, by the way. There is a right answer on that one. And it's that you should first. So anytime I see somebody doing something that you feeling good? So
a little bit better now, yeah, because we didn't rehearse this either. I had no idea where you're going with this.
One thing I've tried to learn how to do more and more is when somebody's doing something I don't do, my first question is, why are they doing that? I don't do that. Why are they doing that? But unfortunately, other people, they go, their first thought is, I don't do that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That must be wrong. So there's a guy, Jack Brody, and Jack has a very interesting teaching system. And I have to say, he's one of the top 5 people that have influenced my teaching. One piece of what he teaches in his system is that you make contact approximately 45 degrees away from you. And if you go and you look at high-level players, the ball with the contact point is approximately 45 degrees out in front. That's why I do that. So for a period of 5 to 10 minutes in the very early stages of training a new player, I toss the ball into them at 45 degrees, because then they're forced to make contact with it at 45 instead of late. The other interesting thing was that people were responding to a 51-second clip as though that's what I do 24/7.
Oh, don't you hate that?
Yeah.
Don't you hate that?
In their minds, everything is finite. They don't see it as one tool for one occasion. And then, hey, what's the application of that? And I'm like, well, when I get somebody on the court, I just want to check to make sure if they can meet the ball at 45 degrees. if they can, once they can. We don't do that again. You know, unless we have to regress, unless we have to go back to that because they lost track of their 45-degree contact point.
It's
So
a
anyway,
moment in time. It's a moment in time. It's what, 51 seconds. So in an hour lesson, it was 1/60th of the lesson.
right. So here's another thing that was interesting, all right? Because that wasn't the only thing that was taught. It starts with me tossing the ball to him, and he hits one shot that's okay, and then but he hit it sky high. It was way up in the air, right? Which is fine, but I was like, okay, aim lower, right? So he aims lower, and he has this horrible miss hit, right? So you could hear, it was one of those miss hits that goes clunk, right? So then I asked him, I'm like, what happened there? Right? What just happened? Why did your ball go there? Right? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, was it something with your swing? I don't know. Right? And then he came back with an answer that wasn't right. And I was like, all right. Where in the racket did the ball go? Right? And then he thought about it and he pointed to the spot where he had mishit. And then I went, okay, well, we want it to go a little bit more in the center. But not one person, well, actually a few people did address that. Out of 20 people who commented, 5 people noticed that I had asked him questions to help him understand what was happening. Right? Because a lot of times what we do as coaches is we try to tell them what to do instead of helping them understand what the problem is. Yeah. So then I said, see the ball come out of my hands. And the very next shot, he nails it. And not one person saw that the cue of see the ball come out of my hands was a visual cue that was going to help him track the ball into the middle of his strings. So it was really interesting to see all that. And I still have questions out there to people that they still haven't answered because they're like, oh, I didn't like the feeding angle. I'm like, what's wrong with it? Are you curious about why I'm doing that? Nobody picked up on that. But about 75 to 80% of the comments were about technical issues with his swing. Here I'm trying to get the ball in the middle of their strings, and everybody's obsessing about whether he has, ideal form yet, and it's like his 4th lesson he's ever had.